Hey, hey, we're back with yet another player profile, this time with RTK's own Big JP. Recently in silver renown, I would not be surprised if he got higher than that. He's certainly a good player, along with a lot of the RTK recruits these days. His factions that he plays are Greenskins, Dark Elves, and Beastmen primarily. A quick overview of his strengths would be cavalry engagements and lord placement and participation, meaning his lord is always where it needs to be, doing what it needs to be. And my suggestions for him would be decentralizing his micro, which we'll talk about what the hell that means. So, Dark Elves versus Lizardmen. We have 3 Dark Shards, 2 Bolt Throwers. It's pretty good to harass Lizardmen and get them in. Cold One Knights, Dark Riders, and a bunch of chaff with Malekith on a Velociraptor. Not really here to cast the replays, so I got to get out of that habit. But Bolt Throwers are going to start teeing off. His Dark Riders are running around, but they soon discover a bunch of skirmishers and need to pull away. Malekith is running around. Dark Shards are shooting at odd targets, and I do see that. And when I was looking for it in the other 2 games he sent me, he did fine. So my first thought was that ranged priority needs to be on different units. Like shooting these Javelins and Chameleon's Kings, those aren't the threats. The threats coming in are the Saurus, Salamanders, the cold ones. But in other games, that isn't an issue. So if you're seeing that and wondering why I didn't mention it, that's why, because it was a one-off thing. Dark Riders protecting some Cold One Dread Knights, Malekith hovering around in the back, and these Cold One Dread Knights are going to get a side charge on the Cold One Riders who are getting into the Dark Shards. I'm probably going to lose the Dark Shard, but they're also going to lose the Cold One Rider, so it's a bit of a trade. And these Cold One Dread Knights are going to go take a fight with 2 different Cold One Riders, and Malekith is nearby, ready to help out either cav fight when it officially started. I think he gets a little caught up in his own Bolt Thrower crew for just a second before he gets over here more proper, throws a Soul Stealer down, and then comes over to support. So good, wiping up a lot of the cavalry in the back. Dark Shards are still shooting random chaff. I think the micro is more back here. But once you secure the heavy cav advantage, you can kind of start sweeping through some of the other lines now, though there are just so many Cold One Riders and now Saurus Spears. Malekith's running around, trying to keep things alive. Cold Ones are trying to run down some Chameleon Skink. Excuse me. And now chaff can clean up. There's a lot of skirmishers sprinting away in every direction, but the Dark Elves have a pretty good handle in this game, especially taking out the caster. And that is going to be it pretty soon. So, nice cavalry play there. It was very good. This game has a lot more of what I want to talk about. Greenskins. I personally see Big JP play a lot with Ground the Paunch, River Troll Hag, and Stone Trolls. He loves that combination of units. And some cavalry. We have Boar Cav, Savage Boar Cav, but you're going to really see the cavalry stuff I was talking about here. The Dark Elf one was fine, but this is really nice. Just juking back and forth, in and out with these skirmishers. When they're about to get caught, Forest Goblin Spider Riders are running up to protect them, trying to catch out these little wolves, and as soon as the wolves get back to their line, pull back again. Just a very nice little dance. A dance of what's going on. You can see he pulled back his front line briefly to engage this, to make the skirmish phase last a little bit longer, and then decides at last to commit. So far, these Spider Riders are still pretty good on health, and they're whittling down dogs and other things, but I mean, it's cheap skirmish cav. It's not going to do a lot of surprising damage value. Now, the other good thing we see coming in is Grom the Paunch, cycle charging into these Manticores, popping his buffs, helping out, rampaging one, yada yada. As soon as he takes a little bit of damage, he chases another Manticore, and he takes a little bit of damage. Archaon's here. He's going to pull away. Runs away from the final trans that's going on. His River Troll Hag is also outside of it. Sucks to be those Stone Trolls and Black Orcs, but oh well, can't save them all. Ground the Paunch waits for it to end. Once the final trans ends, he's back in to give his units some support, give him some love. Doesn't go too deep, doesn't overextend and get whittled down or anything. Meanwhile, Skirmish Cav are shooting off, the Manticores shooting everything. Grom's getting a little poked down by Manticores and final trans and such. But once he gets low enough, he will pull away. Pretty soon. Wait, does he pull away? No, he's just beating the shit out of Archaon. Wow, that's kind of nuts. Yeah. Oh, it's not Archaon, it's Sartorial. Okay, yeah. Grom will beat Sartorial. That whole time I thought it was Archaon. I'm like, why are you still fighting him? How are you winning? The Skirmish Cav are helping that whole time. They didn't get incredible value because Skirmish Cav is Skirmish Cav, but they poked. They did stuff. Yeah. And the last replay is Beastmen versus Dark Elves, which is considered to be a hard matchup for the Beastmen. But Big JP is just taking a shitload of Centaurs. Archer's going to pull forward, starts to throw some blows with the Scourge Runners. I don't really care if they get shot that much. They're 425 gold, and the Scourge Runners don't have that much ammo. Anytime Scourge Runners come close, Centaurs are going to run up and harass. Umbra Raiders trying to trade against Marathi. That's a little bit harder, but again, she's having a tough time landing. And then here is where I realized I was going to say something about his target priority, but in this game, the Archers are immediately going to shoot the Sisters of Singing Doom, which is an excellent target, so it was just an anomaly. His Archer play is fine. And here we have an overcast Traderkin on a big old blob. That's pretty good. You can see this little Bray Shaman is going to charge in for a second and then run away as soon as Marathi comes down. Torox is trying to fight some Manticores, rampage them, and as soon as all this happens, Centaurs think about charging before a Soul Stealer happens. They run away, they come back, and they charge in now, one at a time. And this replay does help a little bit. We'll talk about the good things first. It's just a lot of nice skirmishing, nice shooting in, knowing when to pick your engagements, knowing when not to. Torox is still very healthy despite all these single entities designed to kill him, so it's going okay. I guess we can talk about it a little bit. I was thinking about redoing the replay just to talk about it, but this is what I meant by decentralizing the micro. It sometimes, not always, but sometimes feels like Big JP can play with like Torox, and Torox is his focus, and he's microing Torox. He's doing really well with Torox. Meanwhile, other units can stand around from time to time. If you play it on 2x speed, it feels a little more obvious that units get a command, and then they stop, and they get a command, and then they stop, and they get a command, and then they stop. And he doesn't want to commit with everything at once because of Soul Stealers and such. I get that, but there feels to be a little bit of a slight chunkiness to the micro, if that makes sense. Just, it feels like he picks a thing, he micros that thing really well, and he just needs to give more decentralized orders, maybe sacrifice a little bit of efficiency on the unit that you're working with, but in the greater good of your army, getting more things moving. So that would be my one tip, but otherwise, I mean, it's going pretty gosh darn well, and he is silver renowned, so it's not going too badly for him, clearly. Centaur's going to spread out, and pretty soon here they will just skirmish down everybody to death. Marathi's doing her last dance, but it is indeed the last dance, and there's a lot of throwing axes left, a lot of archers left. Bounce power goes against them. The Dark Elves will soon rout off. GG. So just to rephrase it, a quick little overview yet again. Big JP, cool dude, good player. Plays a lot of kite or rush factions, not as many artillery. I really don't notice them playing with artillery too crazy much. If you can even call bolt throwers artillery, I guess. Good cav engagements, great Lord Micro. Just maybe spread the love. Spread the love a little bit. Or play Skaven. Either or. Skaven, you don't give a shit if your Skaven slaves die. Who cares? Alright. If you have somebody you think should be part of the series, DM me. Doesn't mean I will cover them, but helps with the consideration. And, yeah. Alright, cool. Yep.